Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive in 5 podcast. I hope you're having a fab day wherever you are listening to this, whether that is on the commute, on your lunch break, to distract yourself from some emails, or whatever works for you. Personally, I always listen to podcasts whenever I'm putting the laundry away, just because it's the worst job. I will put it off and put it off and put it off. If I stick a podcast on, it's suddenly a bit more entertaining. But anyway, I digress. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about stress eating. But before you start thinking this is just another episode that's going to tell you to stop stress eating, to just have more willpower, I approach things a little differently. I'm going to talk about why in the TFP, we don't demonize stress eating because it actually makes sense. It's a legitimate coping mechanism that many of us turn to when we're overwhelmed. What we're going to do is explain why that's the case, and then we're going to go through how we handle it at the TFP in a way that actually works for professional women so that stress eating doesn't become the thing that sabotages our health or our goals or our weight loss or whatever. And at the end, I've got a really helpful tool that's going to help you do just that. So stick with me. So first up, let's talk about why stress eating is actually not a bad thing. To be honest, a lot of people think that they stress eat because they lack willpower. I will often have conversations with people at the start of their coaching journey who will say things like, I'm just not strong enough. I just don't have the willpower. I'm so lazy. I just can't say no. It's nothing to do with any of those things. Food, for a lot of us, is how we cope with stress. Food becomes the thing that we use to manage our emotions. If you think about it, if you've had a really long, intense work day, and then at the end of it, you're feeling exhausted, food is often the quickest, easiest way to find comfort. It's something that gives us a break. It's something that feels like me time. It's something that is in our working day, often the only thing we do apart from go to the toilet that is for ourselves. And the reality is, food has an emotional significance for a lot of us. It's not just fuel. No matter what PTs on the internet try and tell you, food is not just fuel. It is something that has emotional significance. It helps us to unwind, to switch off, to soothe ourselves. Food will always be emotional. And little side note here, I am of the view that food should be emotional, because if food isn't emotional, you aren't enjoying it. And if you aren't enjoying it, that doesn't allow you to live your best foodie life, which is exactly what I am all about. But anyway, our brains are always looking for ways to cope. They are always looking for ways to deal with things that happen to us. We live in a world that is stressful. We have jobs that are stressful. And whilst that stress might not be the same as when our unevolved brains were, out on the Sahara as cavemen or whatever, I'm definitely ruining whatever happened in prehistoric times. But anyway, even though the stresses we're facing aren't the same as being chased by a lion, they're still stresses. They are stressful and they are hard. And our brain is always looking for ways to take that stress away. Some people, like you, turn to food to manage stress. Others will turn to other things. They might use social media scrolling. They might kick off at other people. They might do drugs or watch inappropriate pornography or get into fights. We all have our vices. And the reason that I say that stress eating is a legitimate coping mechanism is that in the grand scheme of things, eating a bar of chocolate at the end of a busy day in order to unwind is a far better coping mechanism than snorting a line of coke or attacking a prostitute. There are so many other vices that people have, other ways people cope with difficult times and difficult things. Food, in reality, isn't the worst of them. And that's why I don't ever want to demonize stress eating. Firstly, because it's natural. It's something that we use to cope. It's something we've learned and it serves a purpose. It meets a need. But also, whenever we demonize something, we overlay guilt and shame onto it. And that is really unhelpful when it comes to actually changing a behavior. So, as I say, I'm not here to demonize stress eating and to tell you just to stop doing it. What I'm here to do is to offer you better options for managing stress that won't leave you feeling frustrated afterwards, that aren't going to leave you feeling like you're ruining your diet, going backwards on your goals. Some of these options might include eating. It is okay to use food to manage your emotions, but it's doing so in a way that you feel in control of and that aligns with your goals and that is deliberate. So how do we break that cycle of stress eating then? How do we find healthier ways to manage stress? You might be sitting there thinking, yeah, I get all this, Amy. I get that it's a coping mechanism. I get there are better options, but I don't know what they are and I don't know how to find them. Well, that is where the after-work stress eating solution comes in. This is a free tool that I have put together. You can go grab the link in the episode description. That basically gives you the ability to manage your stress better. It is not about forcing you to stop stress eating cold turkey. That doesn't work, just like with any vice. It's about giving you the tools to handle stress without turning to food. Because as much as we'd like to, we can't stop stress happening. We can't change the fact that work is busy or you've had a long day or that you're tired. But what we can do is change how we respond to it. This after work stress eating solution is also going to give you practical steps to build new habits for managing your stress in a way that leaves you feeling more in control, not guilty. This is about finding real me time, real ways to take care of yourself, to actually recharge without it involving mindlessly eating food without really thinking about it. This isn't about deprivation or beating yourself up. It's about shifting your mindset and creating a routine and a structure and giving you the tools to manage the stress of the day with healthy, sustainable options. Now, as we've talked about this week, and we've kind of been the theme kind of running through the podcast this week, is the importance of having an identity outside of work. When you have a career, work is a huge part of that. And when that's the case, food becomes the only place you can find that moment of relaxation or comfort. In a long working day, I know for me, food was the only thing that was like a little bit of a light or like a little bit of a kind of beacon of hope in quite a stressful day. And when I would come home from work and binge, in all honesty, I would be doing it because it was the one thing in the day that I felt like this for me, even though I didn't want to do it and it made me feel sick and I hated myself for doing it. It was like this thing that I almost had to do that was different to work. And stress eating for a lot of us often happens when we don't have enough me time or ways to decompress that don't revolve around our work or food. So part of breaking that cycle is about creating more ways to take care of yourself, more moments of me time that don't involve food. And this doesn't mean spending a load of time like in a bubble bath with a face mask on. You can do that if you want to. It's about little moments that you already have in your day, but being more intentional with those. And it's about finding ways to de-stress that isn't just sticking your head in the fridge. These are all tools. All of the tools within the after work stress eating solution, there are 3, are things that we use within the TFP to help our team break the stress eating cycle, because stress eating isn't a bad habit. It is a legitimate coping mechanism that many of us rely on to deal with stress. It's about finding comfort, finding relief, finding a little bit of time for yourself in a horrible day. But it can become a cycle that we don't feel in control of when it's the only way we have to unwind. So what I've put together in the after work stress eating solution isn't about stopping stress entirely. I'd love to do that, but we can't. It's about giving you better tools to manage stress in a way that you feel really in control of. And with those tools, you can still enjoy your food. You can still use food as a means of unwinding in the evening, but in a way that you feel in control of and in a way that truly helps you to recharge and in a way that still allows you to actually lose weight and achieve your goals. So if you want to go and find out more about the after work stress eating solution, go ahead to the link in my bio on my Instagram, go and head to the episode description and you can go and download it for yourself. It is practical, it is applicable. You can go and action it straight away tonight and stop that cycle of stress eating once and for all. But remember, and the thing I want you to remember going away from that when you go and get the solution is that stress eating is natural. It is not something to feel guilty about. It is not something you're doing wrong. It is a coping mechanism that you've learned. And remember that you could be snorting coke or shooting up, or I don't know enough drug words to really talk about this stuff, but you know what I mean. You could be doing that stuff. So go check it out. The link's in the episode description and in my bio. Thank you for listening today, and I will catch you tomorrow.